Oh, shit. This is Jeremiah 50 and 22. A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. I like to start off by saying, Barakatai Yahweh, Barakatai Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Omawan back at you with another lesson. Going into the title, all right. Nero 47 prepares to put the drop on Iran. All right, Salaki, I meant to do this video last night, but after I cooked, I had a crazy ass upset stomach. So I never got to it. I ended up just trying to sleep that shit off. All right, but yeah, so going back into it, all right. Nero 47 is preparing to put a drop on Iran, right? And as always, you know, we keep telling you that this damn devil, Nero 47, is just, you know, he getting more proudful and proudful every day. You know, he wants to put the drop on everybody, honestly, you know, and this is why, you know, this whole entire world, all right, all these nations will eventually come up against, okay, America, all right, because they're pretty much tired of America's bullshit, okay? But right now we're speaking about, you know, Iran, all right, because you also have, you know, a lot of beefs going with NATO, which Lord willing, I'll do a video on that in a little while, all right? But, you know, he's pretty much trying to stir up war and wage war with all these countries, you see? And, you know, that's not a good look for America, because that's what puts America in a predicament of, you know, pretty much fighting the world. Okay. And this devil really thinks that he can just pretty much knock anybody out that he wants. All right. But we already know what's the end results for America, according to the scripture, according to Bible prophecy. All right. America is going to be a place that is never to be inhabited ever again, according to Isaiah 34. Let's grab that real quick. This is Isaiah 34. And I'll grab it from 8. It says, "For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. The streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever," all right, meaning a very long time. "From generation to generation, it will lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever." Yeah, so America is going to be a place that's going to be burning for a very long time, all right, till it dies off on its own. But it's going to be a place that's never to be inhabited again, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, you cannot go to that area to this day, you know, and because all the sulfur, you know, no one's able to, you know, basically build upon that place. There no plants grow in that place. That place is just completely annihilated and has stayed like that this whole entire time, you see. So America is going to be in the same exact predicament where it's never going to be inhabited again. You're never going to hear of America again. All right, from New York to California, it's going to be annihilated. All right, because as the scripture says, so as Sodom and Gomorrah was overthrown, so shall Babylon the Great, basically. You see, it says, "But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness." All right, it's going to be a place, you know, that look like total chaos and destruction. All right, it's going to be a confused place. Why? Because this place was once the most greatest city, you know, according to the scriptures, the greatest place on earth, and now it's just a complete third world country, you know, with nothing in it, you know, and never to be inhabited again. It says, "They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing." Yeah, You know, nothing's going to be there because it's going to be annihilated. It's going to be disintegrated. Okay. And thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof, and it shall be a habitation of dragons and a court for owls. Okay. And when you go into that word cormorant, right, which was in verse 11 in the bitter, and it says shall possess it, the cormorant is actually native to North America. All right. So that's how you know that it's actually speaking about North America. Okay. The United States. All right. America, basically, because the cormorant literally to be native means that that's your original birthplace. You know, that's where you came from. So this bird cannot be found anywhere else. Can it be in other countries? Yeah, you know, but it still comes from America. You know, just like when you get people that come from different countries and bring animals over here to the Americas, you know what I'm saying? You will have to go to directly America to find a cormorant and bring it to another country. You see? So it's native to America. Okay. 14 says the wild beast of the desert shall also meet with the wild beast of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow, and the screech owl also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. There shall the great owl make her nest and lay and hatch and gather under her shadow. There shall the vultures also be gathered, every one with her mate. Okay, seek ye out the book of the Lord Yahweh and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it has commanded, and his spirit it has gathered them. You see, so you have to understand that, you know, this is why you have to seek ye out the book of the Lord and seek the Lord while he may be found, because none of these things are going to fail, meaning none of these prophecies, everything that's written in the scriptures, all right, is going to come to pass. All right. All prophecy is going to come to pass. Let's grab this. This is Matthew. This is Matthew 5:18. It says, for verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Okay. Tells you this, let's grab it from 17 from the NLT. It says, don't misunderstand why I have come. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses or the right. Yeah, because the law is going to be established forever. Okay. We established the law even on this side. We rehearsed the righteous acts. All right. And when the kingdom comes, all right, it's going to be put into us. So it's never going to be taken away. All right. It says all the writings of the prophets, okay, meaning these prophecies. No, I came to accomplish their purpose. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not even the smallest detail of Yahweh's law will disappear until its purpose is achieved. You see? So all things have to be fulfilled here. Okay. Every single thing written in the book is going to be fulfilled. All right. This gospel is going to go out through the four corners of the earth, and then the end shall come, as the scriptures say. All right. So let me grab a couple of these little videos I got. All right. And I'll close it out with Second Ezra's. All right. This is I'll play this one real quick. It says breaking news: Iran leaders threaten to attack. Okay.
American military centers and bases and ships in the region will be our legitimate targets.
Breaking news coming out today that Iran has threatened to attack the United States. Take a look at this article coming out in just the past hour. Iran warns that it will retaliate if the U.S. attacks as protesters defy the crackdown. Here's another article coming out. Iran warns U.S. troops and Israel will be targets if America strikes over the protests as the death toll rises. You can see these coming out today, January the 11th. Confronting protests, Iran vows to strike back if the U.S. attacks. And you can see live updates pouring in. Iran protests live. Tehran says that it will hit back at the United States and Israel if they are attacked. We are hearing that Iran is directly threatening the United States. Iran warns the U.S. against intervention. Civil unrest poses biggest threat to the Islamic Republic in years. Now, also, deaths from Iran's protests reach more than 500. We actually heard an Iranian news source last night say that these are underreported. They literally believe it's in the thousands, that the hospitals are unable to accommodate all of the wounded. This is what the rights groups are saying. Trump weighs the options on Iran as protest crackdown reportedly ends the lives of more than 500 people. Trump is saying that he is planning intervention, and Iran is saying, if you do so, we will strike you back. And take a look. Netanyahu and Rubio are discussing U.S. military intervention in Iran amid ongoing nationwide protests. According to reports, Israel is on high alert as anti-regime demonstrations across Iran hit the 2-week mark. All of these coming out in the last 24 hours, as we're hearing that just this morning, Iran has now directly threatened the United States and Israel, saying if the United States intervenes and tries to help protesters, that Iran will directly attack U.S. and Israeli troops, military assets in the region. So we're receiving more direct threats coming out from Iran this morning. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you glad to see Donald Trump becoming very aggressive with these foreign nations?
And that's just the pride of the damn heart, all right? Becoming very aggressive with all these nations. And just for you to even do that is some ballsy shit, because that can only lead to nations just being more mad at you, you know, coming to figure out a plan to come against you, you know. But he's obviously not worried, all right? We understand through the scriptures that, all right, that the Lord is the one that controls everything. All right, let's grab that. This is Proverbs, all right, Proverbs 27 and 1. This is 27 and 1 in Proverbs, and it says, give me 1 second. It's like not 27. It's 21. Salakia. 21 and 1. It says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord Yahweh pondereth his heart. You see? So the Lord is what controls the minds, all right? As it says right here, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever so he will. All right, because when you look, our bodies are like in a brain. They're in a they're like in a it's in a circle, and then there's, you know, water around that brain. So the rivers, like it says the as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. You know, so you know, when you're in water, you know, you like kind of floating, and you could turn any way you want it to turn. You know, so basically the Lord, all right, has the power to, you know, change your thoughts and turn your thoughts the way he wants it to turn. You see? So, you know, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. So every single one of our destinies, all right, is pretty much in the hand of the Lord. You know, man's goings is of the Lord. So how can a man understand his own way? All right, the Lord is what direct your steps. So this devil, you know, he could try to resist all he wants, all right, the will of the Lord, but it's still going to come out the way the Lord wants it to be. You see? That's why he can't even understand half of the time what he doing, you know, because it's all of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay. So with that being said, let me grab one more video and then I'll just close it out. This is give me 1 second. And there's a lot going on, actually, now that I'm looking at this. There's a lot going on in Iran right now, because they have absolute chaos in Tehran. All right, you had the Iranian government cuts off the internet and cell service, and it made an uprising out there. So these people, man, these people are already in a frenzy, you know, literally in a frenzy. Okay. They already, on edge, so ain't gonna be nothing for these devils to just pretty much get turned up and then go to war, going into their natural nature. Okay. Second. This is another one that says this is another one that says breaking Iran erupts as nationwide protests explode. U.S. pressure fuels regime changes fears. It says millions of Iranians demanded their freedom tonight in response. The regime in Iran has cut all lines of communication going into that internet. It has shut down the internet. It has cut landlines. It may even attempt to jam satellite signals. I want to thank the leader of the free world, President, our president, Mr. Trump, for reiterating his promise to hold the regime to account. It is time for others, including European leaders, to follow his lead, break their silence, and act more decisively in the support of the people of Iran. I call on them to use all technical, financial, and diplomatic resources available to restore communication to the Iranian people so that their voice and their so that their voice will that their hold on so that their voice and their will can be heard and seen. Do not let the voices of my courageous compatriots be silenced. Okay, he says Justin, Australia is calling on its citizens to leave Iran immediately. All right, and this was in January the 7th. All right, we'll tell you what's today, 12th, so 5 days ago. Do not travel to Iran. If you're in Iran, you should leave as soon as possible. There's ongoing violent nationwide protests, which they're not, reporting this, that may further escalate without notice. Security forces' response to protests have been severe, and many protests and bystanders have been injured, killed, and detained. Avoid large public gatherings, demonstrations, and protests, and follow the advice of local authorities. Australians, including dual nations, are at high risk of being detained. The city situation, the security situation is volatile. Says if you remain in Iran despite our advice, you're responsible for your own safety. The Australian embassy's operations are suspended. Our ability to provide consular uh, assistance in Iran is extremely limited. All right, but yeah, that's what's going on out there, man. Let me play this one video, and then I'll get to the description. Close it out. This is says high movement High movement of American Navy near Iran and doomsday plan has been activated. America can attack on Iran within 24 hours, the next 24 hours, which that was this was brought out yesterday. So, we're probably pretty much past that 24-hour mark, but they're still giving you the warning, all right, letting you know what's possible. Okay. That's good. So, basically, you see that they want to make moves. All right. And let's grab second Ezra's. All right. 15 and 28 says, behold the horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east. All right. Going into Yahushai. All right. Also going into World War III. It says that where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. All right. So, you know, these many chariots are going into these different mixed armies. All right. The dragons of Arabia are going into basically these Arabs. All right. It says also the Carminians raging in wrath. Okay. See, they're going to be raging in wrath. Why are they going to be raging in wrath? Because of things like this. They're already raging in wrath. They're already getting stirred up. All right. The Carminians go into these modern day Persians, which are these Iranians. All right. So they're already stirred up, raging in wrath, ready to go because of what's going on. Okay. It says, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. Okay. It says, as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. Okay. So, you know, joining battle, they're going to be joined in battle with, you know, with the rest of the world. Okay. And right now you have Russia that's basically being a guard, okay, onto them. Okay. So they're protected, well protected by Russia, you know. So it says, join battle with them and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Okay. Basically going into America. Okay. It says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. Okay. To remember their nature is what they were going to go back to being who they were. Okay. When they were wild boars, man. Wild as he, going back to basically Ishmael. You see? That's what Ishmael's name represented. Wild as he. So they're going to go back to their actual wild nature, man. All right. Remembering their true nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. So you're going to have these Arab nations coming together, uniting in one power. Okay. It says, and these shall be troubled and keep silence through their power and shall flee. Okay, the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be fear and dread and strife amongst their kings. All right, and you're gonna have, you know, in the land of the Syrians, which is America, all right, you're gonna have an inside job. This is why you got a lot of Iranians out here, man. You got a lot of these people from the Middle East out here, man. All right, there's gonna be some type of middle true inside job allowed. Okay, here it is that they try to blame, you know, 9/11 on them when it was really our government. But see, now they're going to really have an inside job done, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see, and I believe that's why you got a lot of them over here, man. A lot of them are sleeper cells. You know, a lot of them are at these gas stations. You know, they're ready to explode gas stations. That's why you got a gas station every damn, you know, within a 2-block radius, you know, within a mile radius of each other. You see, so something big is going to happen here in America, you know, pretty much done as an inside job. Okay. It says, behold the clouds from the east and from the north onto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. Okay. Going into these different armies, you know, basically, you know, clashing. All right. You're going to have missiles clashing. All right. At one point also. All right. Which, like I said, if you go to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, all right, it speaks about how Russia is a guard onto them. This is Ezekiel 38. And I'll grab it from 2. Okay, it says, give me 1 second, hold on. Shit sounded like they was repoing somebody's shit out there. They actually are taking somebody's shit. It ain't mine. It says, let's take it from 2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. All right. And we are prophesying against, we're prophesying against all these countries, all these nations, man. It says, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O God, and chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. All right, which this is going to Gog and Magog going into Russia. Okay, and they're going to be the ones to wipe out America the most, you see. But even then, the Lord is against them. Okay, it says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, with even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. All right, so the Lord is going to put that spirit back into Gog and Magog. All right, Russia, that yoke, that old school, you know, Soviet Union spirit. All right, that they once had, you know, of just straight war. Okay, and you see that. You know, they're already stirred up themselves. All right, as the scriptures say, I will stir up the Medes. All right, the Lord going to stir up the Medes and has them stirred up. All right, he's already had them stirred up since, you know, the Ukraine war. Okay, but now you actually have America getting beefy and bossy with Russia. And what did you have the other night? Putin was just basically saying, like, listen, we ready for war. You know, if I have to, I will take you out. You know, they ready to take it. You got all these countries ready to take out America. I'm telling you, they sick of their bullshit. Okay. So the Lord is putting back that spirit into them. All right. Stirring up the Medes. And it says, and I will bring forth all thine army, horses and horsemen. All right. Which represents military power. And all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords, meaning all these different types of weaponries, man. Okay. And Russia's known for having, you know, thousands and thousands of missiles. Okay. Satan bomb, you know, Satan 1, Satan 2. Like, there's no coincidence that the Lord, you know, has them in that spirit, because at the end of the day, they going back to being Edomites also. Okay. Because Esau it goes to everybody's backyard and pretty much takes over. You know, the Russians that are there are Edomites. You know, they ain't the actual Russians, you see. So, you know, that's the spirit that the Lord got them in. Okay. It says Persia, Ethiopia, okay, Libya, all right, with all of them with them all of them with shield and helmet. All right. So when you go into Persia, you know, goes into this Iranians, okay, Ethiopia, Libya, going into, going into Ham, Africa, you know, these Africans, right? And it says Gomer, all right, going into these Turks, all right, and all his bands in the house of Togomar of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. All right. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all the company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. You see, so you have Russia that's a complete guard onto these nations. Okay. And you see that, you know, as a matter of fact, look, you even see Venezuela. You know, you had Venezuela saying that that Russia and China is going to be a guard on to them. All right, so it's all Bible prophecy being played out, man. All right, and it says, after many days thou shalt be visited, in the latter years thou shalt come back into the land that is brought back from the sword, and it is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, okay, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. All right. And they're also going to waste a portion, you know, they're going to waste Israel also, you know, because those ain't the true people out there. All right. So they have a lot to do with what's going on with America, because they run America. Okay. It says thou shalt Salakia, did I pass one spot? Oh yeah. So it says, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people, all right, with thee. So that goes back to what we was reading basically in 2nd Ezra 15:34, where it says, behold, clouds from the east and from the north onto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. You see, So let's read that again. 9 says, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. All right. So the Lord's gonna put that evil thought into Putin, man, to basically, annihilate this place. Why? Because these devils' pride is so high. Okay. Let me grab this this is Isaiah 13 and 17. And it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash their young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellencies, shall be as when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. All right, so the Lord's going to stir up those Medes, all right, going into Russia, you see. And the Lord's going to give them that evil thought. Like I said, they've already been stirred up. All right, so this is Ezekiel 38 and 11. It says, and thou shalt say, I will go on to the land of the unwalled villages, right? Going, into the unwalled villages is America, all right, because America's got their nose where it don't need to be. And all these other countries waging war against all these countries. So who's here to protect America? Nobody, you see? They think that their defense system is going to be able to help them. They're not going to be able to help nothing when it comes to the Lord putting the spirit of 200 million missiles hitting America. You see? So this place is the unwalled villages. There's no protection, that means. Okay? It says, and it shall, and that's going to be done right after he's given that evil thought. All right? I will go to them that are at rest and that dwell safely, all of them dwelling. Okay? All of them dwelling without walls and having no bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. Yeah, because you have all these different types of nations here in America, all right, and they all come here to, make their life better, to eat off of the backs of slaves of Israelites, man. You see? This is America, that cash cow. So all these nations benefit off of us. Everything that we have, all right, comes from the goods of these other countries, and that's how they make money off of us. You see, everything's made in India, everything's made in China, Taiwan, all these different places. Okay, so let's finish that back up in 2nd Ezra 15 and 34. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth. Even their own star and blood shall be from the sword onto the belly. Going into what? These different, going into these missiles clashing. Okay, that's what it means. All right, it says, and the dung of men onto the camel's hoof, and there shall be a great fearfulness and trembling upon earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them, and then shall there come great storms, and the south and from the north and from other part of the west, all right, going into, you know, the West, going into America, all right. It says, and the strong wind shall rise from the east, okay, armies of the east, basically, all right, and shall open it, and the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the star stirred to cause fear toward the east and west wind shall be destroyed. The great and mighty clouds shall be lifted up, full of wrath, and the star that they may make all the earth afraid. All right, again, going into those missiles, okay, and them that dwell therein, and they shall pour out over every high place, high and eminent place, a horrible star. You see, going into the missiles, fire and hail and flying swords. All right, again, missiles, and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers, and with the abundance of great waters. You see, and they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills and trees of wood, and grass and meadows and their corn, and they should go steadfastly onto Babylon and make her afraid. Okay, going into those missiles again. They shall come to her and besiege her, and the star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. They shall then shall the dust and smoke go up onto the heaven, and they shall, and all they that be about her shall bewail her, and they that remain under her shall go service unto them that have put her in fear. Okay, so yeah, these places are gonna wail, all right, when they see America be destroyed, because that was their cash cow. You see, but they're coming to the point where it's just, they're basically saying, is it me or them? These niggas is trying to powerhouse the whole entire earth. All right, so we should all come together and destroy it. You know, is it going to be me or is it going to be them? They're going to say it's going to be them, you see, and they're all going to come up against America. All right, but this is what you see going on out there in Iran, man. Okay, it's being stirred up on a whole nother level, and like it says, the Lord gonna put the spirit on them to waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, a portion of America. Okay, and they're gonna end up being taken out at one point, but still, you know, they're gonna bring total destruction before they do. You know, so just wanted to touch base on that. So Lord willing that you will edify. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Halon and La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Barak double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, and doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom.